Future of Movies Explained with MKBHD, one of my favorite YouTubers and tech reviewer, and he's talking about films. So I'm interested in what it's all about. Let's have a look. If you haven't seen the original video, I'll put the link in the description. You can check it out.
That's insane! Today I'm testing out some insane tech and seeing how movies really get made. But hold on, let me start from the beginning. Okay, think of your favorite movie. Have you ever seen how they filmed it? There's a chance that it looked pretty weird.
Yes.
The tech behind how they make movies these days has exploded in complexity and realism. And it's not just Hollywood. It's gotten to the point where I could be watching a YouTube video and not be totally sure what's real and what's not. I'm not in my studio right now. I am in a warehouse full of the tech behind my favorite movies. Today, I'm at ZeroSpace Studios in New York with Marques Brownlee, who knows a thing or two about dope tech.
The old rules about how sort of media gets made are basically rewritten. You can do whatever you want.
ZeroSpace has given us full access to their warehouse full of amazing movie-making toys. We're gonna get to try out 3 truly wild tech tools that are changing how movies get made.
In mocap suit also.
And we're gonna explore how you and we can use them.
This might be a very expensive day for me.
Let's do it.
That technology right now, it's very, very expensive. I think they are setting up in India also.
Hey everyone, if you want to come over here, that'd be really helpful. Hello, Cleo Marquez. Thank you for coming to hang out with us today. We're super excited to have you all out here.
The first tool that we get to play with is taking green screen to the next level. Welcome to the XR stage. In its simplest form, an XR stage is a giant LED wall that lets you display whatever you want on it, which is what you saw me doing at the start of this video. Here we are setting up that fake studio trick that we tried to pull on you.
This is my perspective, just on my phone, of what's going on right now. Maybe one of the reveal takes that we should have is you just walking in the background.
Ah, that's how they did it. It was not like written in advance in a script.
What's going on? Oh, I'm in the wrong video, sorry.
Marques pulled a similar trick on his channel.
Is this rolling already? Hey, what's up? MKBHD here. Welcome back to Dope Tech.
So what would you use this for?
We would just design awesome sets over and over again behind us.
The XR stage is already amazing, but we haven't even got...
I can do that for my also, right? Change. Not worth it.
...to the new part yet. In fact, what we're doing right now is more like an old movie where they use a still image or a video behind an actor to put them in another place, like driving scenes in classic movies. But there's a problem with this rear projection technique. You see how in this shot with a real background, as the camera moves, the objects closer shift at a different speed than the ones farther away. That's called motion parallax. And even if you didn't know its name, you can tell when it's not there. It just looks weird. But an XR stage actually solves this problem because it lets you create a whole live virtual world in the background and perfectly match it to the movements of the cameras.
So before we just had our backgrounds, which are just like a flat 2D plane reference image. Now we're using the entire background and there's a lot more going on. The background moves kind of like as if it was actually a background. Like this is parallax.
And the things in the foreground move differently than the things in the background. I thought that an LED screen would look like the scene to the actor, but it has these kind of overlaid boxes.
Like moving windows.
Yeah.
This moving window is what the camera sees. So as the camera position changes, the window adjusts perfectly to make what's inside look realistic, which it can do.
I have to say this is like a very well-made video.
Because it knows where it's positioned.
This little gadget on top of the camera, each one of these cameras, is what's giving them the position information.
Now, you might be thinking, well, what about green screen?
Hello there.
That's been around forever, and it also allows you to put any background you want behind an actor. The problem, though, with green or blue screens is something that visual effects teams in Hollywood have been dealing with for years. And you can see it in this behind-the-scenes moment. Right there. You see that extra green reflection on the shield? That is called spill, and it is a pain to get rid of after shooting, especially if you have a character who, let's say, never takes off his super reflective armor. With an XR stage, the lighting looks right while you're shooting. No green spill, no matter how shiny the surface.
The spill problem is so real. You're talking about green screens or blue screens or any of that. It works and really talented editors can sort of hide it, but when it's this good and you have the lights matching the room and everything around, like the way this is built is just matching perfectly, it's so much better.
This is how they shot Disney's The Mandalorian, using an XR stage they call the Volume, which let them get all of these gorgeous reflections.
Mando's got a reflective armor. If we weren't utilizing the volume,
we would almost certainly be replacing all of his armor with CG armor.
That is Richard Bluff, visual effects supervisor for The Mandalorian. You might have seen his work in little films like The Avengers or Avatar or Transformers or Star Trek or Iron Man. I was very excited to talk to him.
So the scene with Mando walking into what we call the safe house, that for us was an obvious choice to go in the LED volume.
In this scene, the walls, the ceiling, all virtual, but casting real-looking light and shadows on the characters inside. Of course, some things in these scenes are real, like that pole or that desk. Here's another example. Can you tell where the real set ends and the screen
blended very nicely
begins? Figuring out what to make real versus virtual in an XR stage scene is an interesting challenge. What they do is they're basically
taking a cookie cutter, which is the shape of the LED volume, and he's basically just slicing it straight through the environment top down.
It's extension of the real. So they'll have like sand on the ground and then more sand in the background.
But it also must mean that you can
still have to create like a physical set, at least where the character is standing and interacting with, and the background, which you put a green screen anyways. I think even green screen you add certain elements, but nowadays people just do green screen. They don't, everything will take care in post.
change things really quickly, right? A big benefit of this, just change like time of day. Yes, yes.
That is a big deal. The power to change
She's so excited. Love it.
backgrounds quickly makes productions cheaper and faster.
If we were a Star Wars movie, maybe we would have 15, 20, 25 standing sets on a whole studio lot. But for The Mandalorian, we only had 3 locations on season 1 to shoot anything.
Okay.
But yet we wanted to tell a Star Wars story that required our character to travel to many, many, many different planets. But utilizing the LED volume meant that we could load different sets up across the entire season.
And that brings us to the coolest thing about these screens. If you look closely, you may have noticed there's not just one box here. There's actually 2, which means there are 2 cameras filming at the same time, which means
It must be showing different things to different cameras, which is really complicated.
How are you showing different things to different cameras?
The wall is actually refreshing at 120 FPS.
Oh,
and then
okay.
one camera is capturing 60 FPS, and then the other camera is capturing every other 60 FPS.
So
Okay.
why is what he just said so interesting?
That's incredible. Okay, so 120 frames per second coming from this. They are alternating between what they show every other frame.
It's like if you and I were blinking at opposite times
Exactly.
really fast.
That's really clever tech. So you can point 2 cameras at the exact same screen at the exact same place, and they will see completely different things.
the best way to watch this in action is the blue-green test.
This camera, it probably, oh, look at that. It's a green screen on that one and a blue screen on that one.
And here's my favorite part. You remember those reflections? Each camera only sees the correct color reflections too. We tested this with a mirror.
That's insane!
That's,
And it's not just 2 cameras. This wall can go up to 6. So you can have the screen refreshing at a minimum of 180 frames per second, and 6 different cameras filming
30
at
FPS.
30 frames per second, and each will see a different thing.
That's the fun we've been able to have with this technology, and really kind of pushing the boundaries of really what's possible.
We could have played on the XR stage all day, but we were just getting started.
Okay.
Yeah, things
Oh,
are
the
about to get
3D
weird.
models?
Hang on a sec, I'm back in my real actual studio. And speaking of great visuals, one of the biggest questions I get is where do you get footage for your videos? The answer is Storyblocks, and so go check them out. I think you'll really like them. There's a link in my description, or you can go to storyblocks.com/Cleo Abram. Now, where were we? Next up is a technology that you've seen in high-tech movies that's
Mocap.
getting way more accessible.
Pleasure to meet you.
same.
I'm gonna give you this suit.
Okay.
If you could put this on.
Getting in the game. I'm now a completely Velcro human. Time to add tracking markers to me. 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. 28 dots. 36 now. 54. 60 independent tracking orbs.
These motion capture or performance capture suits, they're the same category of tech that you've seen in Avatar or Planet of the Apes or Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
The suits that we're using today have
60 dots.
that are being tracked by a handful of cameras around us, allowing the team at ZeroSpace to map our every movement to any character we wanted, including digital versions of ourselves, which we made by getting scanned inside of this claw-looking
This is a very expensive thing. I think some Indian actors had to go abroad, do this, and get it. I think for Even Kochia Dama movie, right, for Rajnikant, even that had this.
So what are we about to go do?
We're about to scan ourselves into a virtual creation.
Once we had our scans, the motion capture suits took a few minutes to calibrate. So we started playing charades by only looking at the dots.
Okay.
Flexing? Are you a bodybuilder? You're The Rock.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm the Rock. Okay, you do a celebrity.
This is cool.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Who was that?
If you know who they're talking about, comment below.
One. That was amazing.
Oh, chill, my face is in there. Oh.
Wait, Cody, again.
This is surreal, man.
These suits were awesome, but I had a big question. You probably saw the news around the latest Avatar and how they put actors in motion capture suits and filmed underwater. Kate Winslet said she held her breath for over 7 minutes and wondered if she died. My question was,
why did the actors in Avatar 2 need to be in the water?
Some of it I think might just be a physics thing. Or like when I shot YouTube Rewind that one time, I got like lowered out of the bus and I was on like a cable. You pretend you're falling, your arms are flailing, and then you land. And it's 90% convincing, but for the last 10%, you have to just do it.
Oh, that's hot.
So I feel like putting the actual actors in real water is kind of that last 10%.
What you're trying to do with motion capture is capture the truest form of motion for the scene. So if the scene is supposed to be underwater, you need people underwater to capture that motion.
Makes sense, right? That if you're spending so much to get the mocap, to get the true, you know, how a cat will move, like so detailed, then you need to get it that fine, right? No point of that animating it in the software or something.
if you're thinking, cool for Hollywood, but what about me? Well, Marques and I had exactly that same thought.
This looks like the setup for Avatar 1, which I know was super innovative at the time. You're doing it right now with an iPhone.
That's kind of where my mind goes. So like when you look at the future of a tech, on one hand, the ceiling gets higher and higher and it gets better and better. But on the other hand, the accessibility, it gets more and more accessible to more and more people.
You can almost already do a lot of this from home as an individual, but over time, you're right, it's going to become more accessible to anyone.
Some of the implications of more widely available motion capture are a little mind-bendy. Marques didn't know we were going to do this, but...
Marques, we've now made you into Cleo.
I am Cleo.
He could do anything. I mean, I trust you, but I'm glad that this is not like, you know, open source.
Yeah, I am Cleo. I have all the power. Huge if true. It's my YouTube channel now.
Okay, I know he doesn't really look like me in this very quick scan, but soon he might. Higher tech, more realistic versions of this are getting close, and imagining that world gets trippy fast.
If that tech really is photoreal, an actor's IP of their face wouldn't...
Just keeps going. Well into their retirement, they're still acting in movies.
Or after
they pass, they're still acting in movies. Yeah.
Or imagine, for example, a musician gets scanned, and then their choreographer dances as them in their music video.
Are we mad at that? Is that weird?
Weirdly, I'm not that mad about it.
Because there's like, if you're a stunt double in a movie, that's fine. We used a camera trick. We made it look like it was you, but it wasn't really you.
The reason I don't mind when it's a stunt double is I assume that Scarlett Johansson isn't jumping off a bridge. But if I saw her in a movie, I do still assume that she's actually the one acting in the movie. Like, would you want to know if The Rock was physically there on the shoot, or if he was the digital Rock?
Yeah, they just grab his likeness from the motion capture, drop him in the movie, somebody else acts, does the body movements. Is that the future?
Or it could be hundreds of fake Marqueses making MKBHD videos, but you just type in your script and you have your digital double do all the shooting.
Man, I don't know if I like that. If there's a world where I can just download any actor anywhere, it does level the playing field, but it also feels like now it's not my work as much.
I felt really mixed.
This is a weird thing, right? That's the whole AI debate going on, right? Like, what is right, what is wrong? Like, you know, where do you draw the line and all of that? I think anything news comes up, there's always a debate like this, and the more we use it, the more we get accustomed to it. Suddenly, you know, it's all fine. We find our pitching, our footing, whatever.
For one thing, the internet isn't always kind about aging.
Would it be advantageous to me if I had a digital double that looked like I'm 30? And does that extend my career in a way that I'm comfortable with, in a way that's like worth it, in a way that doesn't feel great because I'm not allowing myself to age, and then I'm giving into like that's where my mind goes.
Right. These are the gray areas.
Interesting.
We could get lost in these gray areas, but we had one more tool to see. And this one felt most like it might change how Marques and I actually make videos in the future.
Okay. They had a lot of fun.
Come on into the volumetric video capture stage.
Sure. Okay, so we're in.
This is volumetric video. By placing cameras around you, it creates a real-time 3D hologram, which allows you to move yourself and the camera anywhere you want.
You don't need to put on a suit. You don't need to come in early to get scanned. As soon as you step into this volume, you get turned into a 3D hologram.
So how many cameras are we using right now for this demo that we just did?
For this demo, there's 6 cameras.
The camera angle we're looking at right now is not a real camera angle.
That's right.
It's a stitch of the 6.
Right.
I liked beaming in and out of places, sure, but it was really Marques's description of how this tech could be used on YouTube that blew my mind.
This is one of those things where like people have asked like, Marques, what is the future of video? And to me, I've always been trying to make videos as realistic as possible, which is like first person view, wide angle, you see the device in your hands. And it almost feels like the natural future of that is like putting the device in your hands. So I'm now holding the device. Right now there's like a very flat version of that, which is 360 video. I did a 360 video, which was a studio tour, which was moving through my studio. And you could look around, which was you looking around the 360 sphere, but you couldn't like look to the side and like check underneath because the camera didn't do that. And so this is like an added dimension of that interactivity.
Thank you so much. This is
thanks for
so
checking
cool.
out behind the scenes and beam us out, Scotty.
There it is.
50 years ago, the idea that I'd be telling stories with my own little digital camera on a channel that's all mine was totally unthinkable. Today made me wonder, what will making video look like 50 years from now? I don't know. But from what we've learned today, I think the future is going to be even more open to more people's creativity. We're just going to be able to do so much more. Advances in video tech are allowing creators to tell stories that would have been nearly impossible before, at a pace and a budget that's just been unheard of. As much as I love cool tech, it's not about how big the screen or how many dots or how many cameras. It's about what we do with them.
There's lots and lots and lots of stories we just simply haven't explored yet that that are ripe for the technology that exists today.
So the only question left is, what story will you tell?
Nice video. That was a really good video. Guys, definitely check the video out. Check out the channel. This is the first time I'm seeing her video, but very well made. And a lot of the way we explored the technology as well as certain questions about it. What's the future of it? Discussing all that. Very interesting and true. With AI, today more people can make a film sitting at home or make something creative they wouldn't have some years back. Just at home sitting on a computer, they can create something which they would require writers, storyboard artists, CG, VFX, this, that, editing, camera, actors, this. You can just sit at your home and do it. That just shows you how technology has evolved over time. And all this is coming to India also. We have so many future projects in pipeline. They are still working on it, that using, these technologies. It just opens, the window of what you can do, what you can imagine. You don't have to rely on, very expensive VFX industry to do it for you. You can start creating the moment you're shooting itself. Of course, you still need these people to collaborate to make it better, but now it'll be like what you're shooting, the time you're shooting. It's not like green screen. Later we'll see post-production what happens. So you're just enabling filmmakers to tell stories better, and that's exciting for us. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and then you can check out this video next, and I'll see you next time.